Broncos country, a mile high salute, man. It's your boy Mark here, Marky Sports. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. We got it. We got it done, guys. RG Harvey and Baron both have officially signed their rookie contracts after a very annoying standoff because of the Houston Texans and because of the Cleveland Browns, fully guaranteeing 100% of their second round picks contracts. It kind of led to a standstill really throughout the entire league where just as recently as yesterday, 30 of the 32 second round picks were not signed. It's all good. It's in the rearview mirror. I was optimistic it was going to get done, but it was still very annoying. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of sick about talking about contracts, but what else are we going to talk about? It's the offseason, and it's very relevant because now that the Broncos got these moves made and they got them made relatively earlier than the other teams that had second round pick holdouts, that means that they can focus their attention fully on their team, right? They can focus fully on their free agents, fully on the guys that they're looking to extend, which we've talked about ad nauseum, mainly Cortland Sutton, Zach Allen, John Franklin Myers, Nick Bonitto, maybe even Luke Wattenberg. There's a lot. We're going to sign them all? No, but we can look forward to that now. So let's dive into this. Let's talk about exactly what this means, and we'll go from there. It's going to be a little bit of a longer video, guys, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. Like and subscribe. If you're not, let me know below, and let's dive right in. All right, here we go. Let me move myself so you can see some things. All right, so as it stands right now, the Broncos have about $12.1 million in cap space. It's not always that relevant because we're basically done making any significant moves for the rest of the season. You typically want to have like a $7 to $9 million buffer just in case of emergency or in case things happen. And also, if you were to get a deal done specifically with Zach Allen and Cortland Sutton, you're going to be able to free up a lot of cap space in this year and roll over whatever's left over into next season. So there's going to be that. Now, when you look at Cortland Sutton, right, let's take a look at kind of the current receivers in the NFL and what their average contract rankings are, right? And when you look at that, Cortland Sutton is right down here at 25 at 15.2 million. The guys above him are really the ones that I want to focus in on, right? And you can make arguments that Jerry Jeudy and Deebo Samuel, deserve to be a little bit more higher paid than Sutton, but he's going to be right in this ballpark, right? You can see like Mike Evans, given his age, he's going to be bumped down a little bit. However, he's obviously one of the best, the first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion. And then the guys below him, you got Cooper Kupp, who's 32 this upcoming season, Khalil Shakir, Darnell Mooney. So yes, you can understand why Sutton is going to want a little bit more money because I think he belongs a little bit more in this 20 to 16 range with these receivers in terms of the total amount of money that they're getting. Maybe, Michael Pittman Jr. type of a level, right in between. I would say between Nico Collins and Michael Pittman Jr., even though both those guys are younger. So yes, he's going to want more money. Now, one of the guys that I would say to look at that's a really good comp that's going to give you a good idea of what the contract will look like is going to be Stephon Diggs for a couple reasons. Firstly, because he was signed this last offseason, so it's much more recent to get an idea of what the market is. And number two is because Stephon Diggs is 31 years old, entering his year 32. Cortland Sutton is 29, entering his year 30 season. They're both exactly about 2 years apart in age. And that's significant because you got to look at, okay, as a 32-year-old wide receiver, what are the Patriots looking at comfortable guaranteeing somebody like Stephon Diggs, who is dynamic at times when, he's shown that he can be very dynamic. And so when you look at his contract on the surface, he got a 3-year deal worth about $63.5 million. However, $12 million signing bonus, $16.6 million of that really is guaranteed, right? It's guaranteed at signing, but the total guaranteed is 25. However, that does not mean that the Patriots are on the hook for the full 25 the way that they structured it. And this is pretty important because I can see something like this happening with Cortland Sutton's camp. They could get a 3-year deal, worth maybe upwards of $75 million, but have a little bit of quirks. So what that means is that $16.6 million is guaranteed at signing, right? That's the signing bonus of $12 million plus the 2025 salary, which is 2.9 plus 1.7 million of the following of the 2026 season. After that, he really doesn't have many guarantees, really at all. He's got some incentives, which are in there. And then he's got like an active bonus that he'll get, up to $3.4 million. But they can get out of the contract before next offseason and save $6 million. The $6 million does not become guaranteed unless he's on the roster in March of 2027. of 2026, they have an injury guarantee. But to make this easy, because it is very confusing, and I'm not the best explainer, which is why I'm not a teacher, is $25 million of the total salary is guaranteed. Meaning, up until he's 33 years old, the market is saying for a guy comparable to Cortland Sutton, $25 million in new money is guaranteed in total, right? Up until he's 33. That being the case, right now, Cortland Sutton's deal, if you take a look at that, you want to select it we'll select it over here, and then I'll switch it over. Right now, of the $20.2 million that he's getting against the cap, 13.2 of that is guaranteed, and then he gets $500,000 in a per game roster bonus. So he gets a nice little bump to be able to get up there. I think it's probably going to be about $3.4 million if you do the math on that one. In additional and just the roster game bonuses. So he's getting, if he's healthy and he plays in 17 games this year, he will be receiving $20.2 million guaranteed if that was going to be the case. So how much more are you comfortable giving him? I think looking at the Stephon Diggs contract is something that makes a lot of sense. He wants about $25 million average salary per year. I think you can give him a 3-year, $75 million deal, but really make this year and next year guaranteed on that. They wanted to redo an entirely new contract so that they, past the 2026 season, they're not really incentively tied to or financially tied to Cortland Sutton. So that's going to be one of those to kind of break some of that down. My thoughts on it are this. I look at it, a lot of people know how I feel about Cortland Sutton. If it was me, I would have, and I didn't know, and there was no promises made last year about the kind of money that if you perform really well for us this year, we're going to give you a payday next year. Had that not happened, there is no reason the Broncos should be giving Cortland Sutton significantly more money. I think his contract is more than fair. I think they've done their fair share of being fair to him as well. And I think it's been very amicable on both sides. But because they did say, hey, last year, instead of looking at a long-term deal, it put some incentives. To his credit, he performed, and they said that there would be a more solid contract waiting for you in this upcoming offseason. I do believe that they should get something done. And I think that they should guarantee Cortland Sutton services for this year and for 2026, because that's really the best way they're going to be able to do that. And then that way you're not tied to him a lot longer. If he continues to play well and if he continues to ascend, great. You could look at options down the road, and you still have control over the player in a way. I don't like to say it like that because it sounds really like demeaning, but you know what I mean. You have control of the contract, and you're able to negotiate for as long as he's under contract with you. When it comes to other guys like Zach Allen, like John Franklin Myers, like Nick Bonitto, I think that one of those guys is going to be the target for this team to franchise next year. They're going to say, hey, stick with the contract that you're at, ball out, and we could always franchise tag this player next year. Guys that make a lot of sense on that would be, I guess, really the only guys that you can franchise tag next year are going to be Zach Allen, John Franklin Myers, or Luke Wattenberg, should you want to look at him as a part of this equation as well. You technically can't sign Nick Bonitto to the franchise tag next year because he's not an unrestricted free agent. He'll be entering the final year of his contract. But this is the first year that you're able to get Nick Bonitto to sign an extension if you want to. We saw the TJ Watt deal. It's not going to be comparable to that, in my opinion, because TJ Watt is definitely a superior player at this time. But Nick Bonitto is a really good player, man. All he's going to do is make himself significantly more expensive if he repeats even 90% of the production that he had last year. So you got to look at the player and you say, what's the vision for him? What kind of steps do you think he can take again going into this year? And if that's the case, you got to be able to pull the trigger now, because it's going to be something that looks like a very good deal down the road. Just like, you look at Patrick Surtain. He was the highest paid cornerback in NFL history. He signed that last year before the season started. And then since then, now he's like the 6th. You've got J.C. Horn that's higher. Jalen Ramsey, who got more, Sauce Gardner, who just got more. So you get ahead of these signings, they're going to look really good in the long term. That's what I look forward to them doing with Nick Bonitto. So I think Nick Bonitto is probably going to be the next player that they're looking at signing, him and Zach Allen. John Franklin Myers, I feel like they can always franchise tag him next year, but they can also do the same with Zach Allen. So it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening and how long it's going to be tied into. Obviously, we don't have a lot of information as to how, what kind of contracts these guys are looking for, right? Are they going to be looking for 4, 5, 6 year commitments, or are they just wanting, a year added and an additional, salary guaranteed? Those are going to be the big things that are going to be able to spark it. But you got to look always ahead. I do like to do these exercises a lot because it puts me in the mindset of these executives, right? George Payton's job is to be as fiscally responsible as possible. I get that we have the richest owners in the NFL, and that helps when you're wanting to get deals like Jonathan Cooper's done last year, Patrick Surtain's done, Garrett Bowles is done, all these different contracts done. It helps you when you have surefire, no doubt about it, players. But just because you have, whether it's a lot of cap space or you have the richest owners to be able to get these deals done, it doesn't mean that you should just do it. You always need to be able to find a way to get a return on your investment. And when you're looking at the players that we have currently on our roster, you got to be able to limit that. If you were going to sign market rates for all of these players, I would think that Nick Bonitto's probably got the highest chance of giving you the biggest return on your investment. He's still young. I think he's still growing as a player. He's ascending big time. And he plays a premium position as a pass rusher. You look at Zach Allen. He is getting a little bit up there in age, but he's a dominant force. He's gotten better every single year he's been in the league so far. And I don't see any signs of him slowing down. John Franklin Myers, there's a lot more question marks still. He played very, very well last year, and he's been a solid player throughout his career. But has he reached his peak? Has he not? He might be somebody that's a little bit more questionable. Obviously, same kind of goes with Cortland Sutton. Do we know what we have in court, or can he take another step? I did a whole video on Luke Wattenberg as well. You can add him to this equation. He's an interesting one, but I think because of the way we're allocating so much money to the O-line already, we might not be in a position where we want to do that. We want to be able to allocate funds elsewhere. And you also do got to take into account the other cap hits that are going to hit next year, the guys that you're tied into. What's Bo Nick's contract going to look like, in 2-3 years from now? So there's a lot. But I think for me, man, I'm excited. I'm just happy that we finally got the rookie deals behind us, because we needed that to happen before we could even start to get any news about the rest of the guys that are seeking new deals. The focus is going to be fully shifted onto those dudes, and we're going to be able to go from there. But cap manipulation is easy. I look at this like I would be shocked if the Broncos didn't at least make a couple deals. And if I had to make a prediction right now, I would say it's going to be Cortland Sutton and Zach Allen are going to be the two guys that they're going to sign extensions to. And they're going to revisit, and there's a possibility that we can look at Nick Bonitto and or John Franklin Myers in the middle of the season. If Nick Bonitto, man, he gets off to a hot start, he starts balling, and they become even more confident in the kind of player that he's going to be, I think a big contract for him is going to be very much warranted as well. But I think two guys are going to be signed before camp officially starts next week. Let me know what y'all think, man, below in the comments. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Go Broncos. And if there's anything you want me to make a video on or discuss on the channel, let me know below. I love the suggestions. Looking for them. And until the next video, man, y'all take it easy. Peace out.